Veeraraghavan, the Global Chair of the Site Steering Committee. I'm super thrilled to have 2021 President Susan Cathy Land with us today. Site Week, we founded it last year, and the spirit behind the Site Week is to celebrate the impactful work done by our volunteers across the globe. This has been a terrific 2 year for both HAC and Site, especially in 2019 and 2020. And in fact, we have really doubled our membership, site membership, and reached newer heights in terms of projects funded, and also received global recognition from other external players, both for HAC and Site this year. So I'm particularly thankful to Miss Susan Cathy Land. I met her last year in the HKN conference, and we exchanged a lot of great ideas. And I'm really delighted that we're able to transform some of those ideas into actionable plan this year, and pretty excited with the outcome as well. And also, Site is being one of the fastest growing, program in the sustainable development space within IEEE, and we will see that during my presentation today. But with that said, we are truly honored to have Miss Susan Cathy Land today. She also joined us for the Site Week, where we had more than 3,000 people engaged throughout the globe. So I'm particularly thankful, and we welcome you, ma'am, to this session. So with that said, I request all the audience to mute your microphone. I think the first 25 minutes, you will hear the amazing keynote speak from Ms. Cathy Land, followed by the overall performance presentation about Site and Hack from me for the rest of the year. So with that said, welcome, ma'am, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can do that. It might take a minute. Okay. And you should be able to see my slide.
Yes.
Okay. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the opening celebration of 2020 IEEE Site Week. I'd like to thank Sampath, Chair of IEEE Site Steering Committee, for inviting me to join with you all today. Indeed, we did talk last year, and we've had what I would say a pretty close relationship ever since, and I do thank him for inviting me today. It is my pleasure to be part of this event and to increase awareness of IEEE Site within IEEE, and to celebrate the impact site volunteers and groups have made in 2020. So today I'm going to speak briefly about why humanitarian activities are important to IEEE and the value that they bring not only to IEEE membership, but are also shared but are also to our global society. To some people, being an IEEE member means coordinating a conference. To others, it means participating in a standards activity or to chair a standards working group. But to others, it means that they want to show the world our boots on the ground vision of IEEE's mission of advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. And for many of our members and volunteers, this means participating in humanitarian activities. And that's what being a member of IEEE or being a volunteer means to them. Humanitarian activities are included in IEEE strategic priorities as they are important to our members, and they're more important, these activities are a critical part of IEEE's mission and vision. So IEEE's core purpose is to foster technological innovation and excellence for the benefit of humanity. Part of our vision is to be universally recognized for the contributions of technology and technical professionals for improving global conditions. And one way we can do this is by helping not only our members, but also helping the entire global community to understand how technology can be used to solve important problems and provide solutions such as life-altering issues such as clean water, reliable energy, food production, healthcare, and education. So in recent years, IEEE has placed great emphasis on humanitarian technical activities. For example, the IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee, or HAC, was launched in 2016 as a committee of the IEEE, reporting to the IEEE Board of Directors. And the Board of Directors is the sort of the top board in IEEE. HACC provides a suite of resources that inspire and enable volunteers around the world to carry out and support impactful humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities at the local level. HACC focuses on raising awareness of how technically trained people can contribute by providing training for engagement in humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities, supporting and evaluating projects and cultivating relationships and leveraging opportunities so that IEEE can become a leader in the global sustainable and development community. As part of a strategic effort toward member engagement, HACC instituted the SITE program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, short for Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology. More than 155 SITE groups have been founded in over 50 countries, and you'll hear more about SITE later. As the philanthropic arm of IEEE for more than 40 years, the IEEE Foundation works to inspire donors and manage their donations to invest in IEEE programs that unleash the power of IEEE to bring the promise of technology and the knowledge to use to individuals and communities around the world. IEEE Smart Village is a signature program of the IEEE Foundation with support from numerous IEEE societies and communities. And I'll share a great example of Smart Village initiative later when I talk about an example in just a minute. Ethics in IEEE empowers students to work with local service organizations to apply technical knowledge to implement solutions for our community's unique challenges. In this way, ethics in IEEE not only assist communities in achieving their specific local community improvement goals, but also encourages students to pursue engineering for community improvement as a career. The goal of IEEE Empower a Billion Lives competition is to help the global community create and demonstrate sustainable solutions for energy access that are technically and economically viable and that can rapidly scale to impact more than 1 billion people across the globe who live in extreme energy poverty. The MOVE Community Outreach is an IEEE USA initiative, and it's an emergency relief program committed to assisting victims of natural disaster with short-term communications, computer, and power solutions. These temporary emergency relief provisions help those affected stay connected and make sure they can access the help they need. Services include phone charging, internet and communication support, and lighting to disaster victims. In 2020 alone, the vehicle deployed for disaster relief to 4 hurricanes and a tornado in 5 different states across the southern United States. And what you see on this slide is just a short list of the numerous humanitarian and philanthropic activities throughout the IEEE. Through IEEE's diverse programs, there are many opportunities to make a contribution, big or small, to improving the human condition worldwide. Together, the strength and reach of IEEE network can be leveraged to make a difference. Doing good brings great returns, and if you want to know more, you can visit the IEEE website. You can see at the bottom of this slide, IEEE.org/doinggood, for more information about getting involved. So the IEEE Board of Directors has been working for the past 2 years to update its strategic plan. The plan is a vital part of the ongoing evolution of IEEE. It helps us stay on track. And it provides a clear picture of IEEE as an organization and the goals our community is pursuing, and the initiatives that will move IEEE forward in the coming years. The IEEE humanitarian activities and mission are well aligned with the 5 new strategic goals and support the IEEE board-endorsed vision of international IEEE members and volunteers carrying out and supporting impactful humanitarian activities on the local level around the world. Through IEEE's diverse humanitarian and philanthropic programs, there are many opportunities to use your technical expertise and skills to make a contribution, big or small, to improving the human condition worldwide. You can become involved at any stage of IEEE engagement through contributions of your time, talent, and treasure. But why IEEE instead of some other organization? IEEE-sponsored humanitarian activities leverage IEEE's global network of members and volunteers and tap into IEEE's vast resources, training, the funding, the institutional relationships. IEEE has much to offer. For example, IEEE enables its members and organizational units to accomplish strategic priorities through conferences and other events around the world. And we also work to raise awareness of humanitarian technology and sustainable development and how technically trained people can contribute. IEEE provides training to increase the capacity of IEEE members and projects to successfully undertake humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities. We showcase the results and share lessons learned of IEEE humanitarian technology and sustainable development projects. And we work to develop relationships with the greater sustainable development community outside IEEE. Together, the strength and reach of IEEE network can be leveraged to make a vast difference worldwide. As an IEEE member, there are many benefits to engaging in humanitarian technology and sustainable development activities. So a few examples are the opportunity to learn and develop professional skills. You can build a connection and community with like-minded IEEE members around the world, as well as members within your own local community. You can work toward a greater purpose, and you can make a real difference. With IEEE, you can use your technical skills to give back. The IEEE Board of Directors, as I said earlier, work to refresh the strategic plan, the 2020 to 2025 strategic plan, and it's just demonstrated, there's a demonstrated importance in this of educational services and resources as well to support the lifelong technical learning, as well as career and personal development resources. This is an integral part of the strategic mission to offer these educational resources and training to equip IEEE members and volunteers to impact their local communities through sustainable development activities. IEEE humanitarian activities provide not only educational resources, but also the opportunity to apply skills such as technology design for low resource settings, project management, stakeholder engagement, and impact assessment that IEEE members might not have in their current positions. Now, these skills can also help students find first jobs, young professionals advance more quickly in their profession, and mid-career professionals try out a different career path. It can also help retirees discover a meaningful and satisfying activities in retirement or post-career. IEEE is also currently developing an educational curriculum in humanitarian technology and sustainable development at IEEE that is housed on the IEEE Learning Network, or ILN. Topics are related to humanitarian activities, sustainable development, and how technology and technically trained individuals can contribute. With better prepared, skilled participants, every activity has a greater positive impact. And if you want to learn more about the training material available, just go to IEEE, look for ILN, and then search on those topics. So humanitarian activities also help fuel growing membership in sections around the world. This sampling highlights how many of the IEEE sections with the highest percentage of member growth in the last several years are also ones that have significant humanitarian activities. And you can see that I've highlighted the Uganda section has had 124% growth. Bolivia, 91% growth. So, and they've had major HAT projects. So we all know the undisputable reach and influence of social media, for better or worse. But in this case, we can report overwhelmingly positive conversations on social media regarding IEEE and humanitarian activities. And what's really exciting about this is that the female voice is in the majority. And you can see that it's just about 65%, which is typically the opposite in IEEE-related conversations as in many STEM-related conversations. You can see that here that over 75% of the users are in the 13 to 34 age group, which is pretty impactful. Okay, so I'm going to speak briefly about IEEE's growing partnership with the UN and several of its organizations. So with our Advancing Technology for the Benefit of Humanity mission, IEEE is a thought leader in the UN Social Development Goals, or SDGs. IEEE members have the expertise and know-how to help develop solutions for many critical sustainability issues. Members and non-members alike are working around the globe in partnership with IEEE to make noticeable, impactful improvements on the ground in addressing these SDGs. And these include developing professional and educational programs to support capacity building for development of engineering and technical professionals in parts of the world lacking strong technical communities, promoting technically feasible, economically viable solutions and sustainable development practices in IEEE fields of interest, and exploring IEEE's role in sustainable development practices and solutions for such practices to address collaboration amongst our members with external partners and organizations. So IEEE recently received consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC. This special status is granted to non-governmental organizations or NGOs which have a special confidence in or are concerned specifically with some of the fields of activity covered by ECOSOC. So ECOSOC is at the heart of the United Nations system to advance the three dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social, and environmental. This approval recognizes IEEE's contribution to date to sustainable development and humanitarian technology and to supporting the achievement of the UN's SDGs. This status enables IEEE to more closely participate in the work of the United Nations, to attend international conferences and events, make written and oral statements at these events, organize side events, and enter United Nations premises and have opportunities to network and lobby. This partnership will also provide a strategically important opportunity to significantly increase the impact of IEEE's contributions going forward. IEEE is currently engaged with the International Telecommunication Union, or ITU, which is the United Nations Agency for Digital Technology. Another great partnership IEEE has developed is with the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO. So UNESCO is a specialized agency of the United Nations aimed at promoting world peace and security through international cooperation in education, the sciences, and culture. Supported by the Africa Council and the IEEE Uganda section, IEEE delivered IEEE Reach lessons, plans to treat university girls in Uganda in several rural locations. Working with several Uganda-based nonprofit organizations, the team traveled to locations via a moving classroom trailer in underserved communities to provide the program overview to teachers on the courses, as well as to provide a course in hands-on activities to students. They ensured that the IEEE Reach lesson plans supported Uganda's National Curriculum Development Center's curriculum. Each lesson is a 4-day activity, and it's expected that more than 250 students will participate. So Ravani Sidamani is the Assistant Program Specialist for the UNESCO Engineering Initiative. And when the concept was presented to Ravani, she was very excited, and I quote her, "I think it's a great initiative for UNESCO because in terms of education, science, culture, and history, the social sciences It's all part of what we do. It is a very global outreach, and this is great for UNESCO because it will appeal to all countries, and this is exactly what we need. So as 2020 draws to a close, we're all looking back on this year, and it would have been 12 world-changing, paradigm-shifting months. This year, our community came together in new ways, faced the challenges of a global pandemic, and we emerged even stronger. And looking to the future, we know we have a host of opportunities before us. So this year has certainly demonstrated the impact that professional engineers and technologists have on our society. We've witnessed amazing engineering developments and important medical and technological breakthroughs. The challenges and changes we have witnessed in local communities across the nations around the world confirm the work of professional engineers, technologists, educators, young professionals, and students preparing for careers will continue to be in high demand and will have great impact. However, the pandemic also exposed the weaknesses in the global infrastructure that supports the citizens of the world. It's become even more apparent that the vital communications, computing, energy, and distribution infrastructure that's been so critical during these times is not always equitably distributed, particularly in less developed regions. And this has increased concerns and focus on the digital divide. Capacity building in engineering is a lever for economic, social, and sustainable development, and is a priority for IEEE. Engineering professionals play a key role in the overall economic development activities of countries and regions. A less complex statement is that capacity building is the process of assisting people to develop the technical and decision-making skills to address their own needs for improving the living standards and prosperity of their own people in building an environmentally sustainable society. IEEE has a call to action to its communities to develop professional and educational programs supporting capacity building for engineering and technical professionals in parts of the world where these resources are scant. Many IEEE programs are focused on building partnerships with local communities, entrepreneurs, and stakeholder groups to encourage the adoption and implementation of appropriate technology and to increase community capacity building to support local sustainability. So I would like to share a call to action to all our members around the world and all interested IEEE organizational units to develop professional and educational programs supporting capacity building for the development of engineering and technical professionals in parts of the world lacking strong technical communities, to promote technically feasible, economically viable solutions to sustainable development practices in IEEE's fields of interest, to explore IEEE's role in sustainable development practices and solutions for such practices to address collaboration within IEEE and IEEE membership opportunities and models. We should also remember and encourage the direct connection of these global challenges to IEEE's code of ethics, which inspires IEEE members to strive to comply with ethical design and sustainable development practices. This is crucial given the global scale of the environmental, social, and governance challenges that threaten to influence the living conditions for our current generations. The immediacy of the COVID threat cannot displace our long-term focus on sustainable development and finding better ways for each of us to live in concert with our environment. From green energy to reducing waste and emissions, from transportation electrification to digital education, health, and agriculture, to smart villages with the reimagined rural communities, technology and technologists, particularly local innovators and entrepreneurs, have a significant role to play in shaping life on this planet. As a person who believes in the power of technology to benefit humanity, I find this to be a very compelling vision for our shared future. Together, we can work to develop and apply technology to help solve the world's most challenging problems. So thank you. I hope that you have found the information presented today informative. I do not know if I have time to answer any questions, but I'm happy to try to do so. If not, I hope you stay safe and well in these challenging times, and I hope what I've presented today helps further your knowledge about what IEEE is doing. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy Lan. That was a very amazing presentation, very deep and insightful into the various kind of opportunity that IEEE offers, both within the humanitarian space as well as the sustainable development space. We're really thankful for your time and for giving such a marvelous presentation today, joining us today for this key event for site. So Juliana, just wanted to quickly check here. We just probably take a few questions and then probably we can probably address bunch of the other questions at the end. Maybe if there are specific questions right now, maybe a quick question, one or two, we can take it now.
Sure.
Of course. So I see we've got a question that's a little bit more directed towards site operations
Okay.
from Kanita. Hello from Thailand. So I'll direct this question to you, Sampath. Hello from Thailand. We have just submitted a petition to form an IEEE site group there in Thailand. We're focusing on the rational drug use problem in the rural community. I wonder how long it would take for the committee to make a decision.
Okay. Do you want me to take on that, Dr. Susan? If it's fine with you?
That's for you.
Thank you. Yeah. So thanks for the great question. I think, one of the great process improvements what we institutionalized in 2019 is monthly review of all the petitions. So that means if you are submitting a petition, say in the next week or so, there's a high probability you should be hearing back from us within the 3 to 4 weeks timeline. So typically it's a 4-week window, what we are looking right now.
Great. Thank you, Sampath. And we've got another question that's just been submitted. I'm happy to hear about the agreements with the UN. How can we take advantage of this?
So it's really for the IEEE. How do I say this? The IEEE is taking advantage of it. We get a series of guest passes, but they're given to the president, the executive director, a series of other folks at IEEE. And we're coordinating strategic activities with the UN. This is new to the IEEE. It's something we've been working on for almost 4 years to get this access. If you have a specific idea, you can email Sampath, relating to site, and he can coordinate with me on how we might leverage this relationship. So we are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Kathy. A quick note from our side is that we indeed are already working with a lot of UN agencies. In fact, we had some preliminary conversation started in February 2019, where we are trying to expand the impact and the partnership for site beyond within IEEE. So we had some promising lead that's underway. I'm pretty sure that the Hack and site will make some major program announcement early next year. So keep watching out for the newsletter. And really, I think we are very thrilled with the kind of conversation that's happening between UN institution and us and the IEEE. So, okay.
Thank you both. And I see we had one more question submitted, Sampath, but is that okay to do that right now?
Maybe we can save that for the site. I see there was a site specific, so maybe some of these questions will be answered as part of the site presentation. So maybe
Sure.
We'll quickly hop onto the site slides, and I will probably try to reserve some 10 minutes at the end for the Q&A.
Okay. Let me work on getting that presentation pulled up.
Yeah, but again, on behalf of the site steering committee and more than 10,000 volunteers, thank you, 2021 President Kathy Lan, for being with us today and giving an amazing presentation. And we feel like this is the beginning. So we continue to, get your support for the humanitarian and the sustainable development efforts that will be driven by Hack and Site in coming in 2020 and beyond.
All right, thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so with that, the next 20-25 minutes, I think the goal is to talk about the progress report. And as I said, if audience have specific question, let's make sure that those questions are addressed at the end of the session, and happy to stay over however long it takes to address those questions. So with that said, again, very thrilled to have you all today for the Site Week celebration, and this is the second year of celebration for us. We rolled out this program last year. It's been pretty successful. And as I commented earlier, the spirit of this program is to actually celebrate the impactful work done by our volunteers. So this is a celebration of your work. In a nutshell, this is a celebration of all of our journey together between the site steering committee, the hack steering committee, and the volunteers at the grassroots level. So with that said, we'll go on to the next slide. So, like many of you are already aware of site, so I'm not going to talk about a lot here, but a 30-second primer on that is, we are in a nutshell. The President Kathy spoke about how HAC fits into the larger, board vision. So site is actually one of the key programs of the Humanitarian Activity Committee. In a nutshell, it provides, the grassroots, opportunity to engage IEEE members to work with the local community and local partners to leverage technology as a catalyst to address the pressing needs faced by the local community. So in a nutshell, this is again 3 major elements coming together: IEEE site members, the local community, and the local partners. So with that said, let's quickly, move on to the next few slides, and let's talk more about the achievements. Here we have already touched upon, how HAC and site fits into the larger vision of IEEE. This programs, I think, it has a very, very strong, relevance to the larger mission of IEEE, where the goal is to advance technology for the benefit of humanity. So in a nutshell, here we want to empower each and every our IEEE members through IEEE hack and site programs, and make sure they can put their technical skills into action and formulate meaningful solutions to address the pressing and grandest challenges in our planet faced by the local communities. So next slide. So here there are several benefits we offer to our members. I think we are going to just at a high level, we are going to focus on 6 major benefits, and then the rest of the session will focus on our performance and for the last 2 years, and we'll talk about our roadmap ahead for the years to come. So you can see here clearly, I think, site membership is free, and that makes it really, really attractive and unique when compared to other programs. And also it, enables other, non-IEEE members to onboard. For example, your local community members or local partners from other institutions can be, part of your local site group. And we are very confident, hopefully, that experience they gain from being a part of the site group will eventually enable them to, take up IEEE membership. But you can see here there are 6 major benefits we offer from the program standpoint. One is professional skill development. Our members, the biggest advantage of being a part of a site group is, you will be participating. You're likely to be participating in a feet on the ground program, where you will be putting your technical skills and interfacing with your local community stakeholders and formulating relevant solutions to meet the challenges. So this, in a nutshell, is an amazing opportunity for students and young professionals, and even anyone early in their career, to gain such a hands-on experience and get you ready for the industry, right? I mean, it's not only your technical skill, but also skills like, how do you engage with the multiple stakeholders, the art of putting a project proposal, thinking through the risk, the metrics that you need to measure. It provides an holistic development, kind of an experience for the individuals. Secondly, we offer a lot of training content, both through online workshops, webinars, in-person workshops, and even through ILN, where this year we launched a series of valuable educational content, which will help you to strengthen your skill set when it comes to designing a sustainable development program or a site project end to end, right, from design all the way to delivery. And the most important thing is at the individual level, I mean, you are contributing to a greater cause, right? You are trying to address a key challenge faced by the humanity. So there's an amazing, sense of proud and ownership there, right? That's unparalleled and unmatched when compared to other programs. And thirdly, the connection. I mean, fourthly, I think the connection and the community. I mean, apart from IEEE, you get to interface with the real world community, understand the needs, and work backwards from the needs. So this is again, completely the kind of experience which you gain through hack and site programs is amazing and unparalleled. And finally, this is like your the efforts that volunteers put into these programs in a nutshell is trying to create impact maker per community globally, right? So this is again it's a novel way to engage our members and then to scale up their efforts to bring in a larger global impact across the board. So with that said, let's get into some of the amazing progress what we have made in the last 2 years. So next slide, we will be talking about 2019 and 2020. So in 2019, I remember when I took over as the global site chair, we did a great analysis of the data for the last few years, and we really took some audacious goal. And how far we have made success in those goals, is what about the story here. But again, with that said, I would really like to call out both my staff team and my steering committee members. Each one of them were, and every volunteers, across the world who contributed to this larger vision. And we are able to, deliver some really like high bar raising outcomes. So I think the three immediate dimension that you can see here, site membership. So site membership, actually, like in 2019, we went from about 4,800 members in February to about 9,800 members at the end of December, which is about 200% growth last year. And this year in 2020, we are still able to sustain the momentum in spite of the COVID situation. We are still like trending with more than 10,800 members so far as I speak today. I'm fairly confident that we will close the year with the highest number of site members, historically since inception. And secondly, in terms of site groups, we added about 54 site groups in the span of last 24 months. This is again a record-breaking growth. It is about a 150%, roughly about 150% growth since 2018. And our groups are now, very diversified, and they are present across the globe. And we have about 172 groups, and in 54 countries. And site projects, I would say, like again, amazing story there. 2019, we had the regular project cycle where we had about 74 projects received and 21 projects were funded. 2020, COVID completely, impacted us, and we quickly partnered with HAC and acted, unified our project program. This is again an amazing story that you will hear more, where we supported received more than 230 projects, and we funded more than 100 projects this year, which is the highest in the history of Hack and Site. Next slide. So let's look into some of our amazing progress in the last 2 years. I think, so you can see here, in membership, we spoke about 10,000 plus members 2 consecutive years, right? That's amazing. That's like, that I mean this is like probably one of the most active program within the IEEE ecosystem, primarily focused on sustainable development, to have such a highly member engagement metric, I would say. And last year, I would say as I mentioned, we started around 4,800 in February, and we ended with about adding another 6,000 members, crossing the 10,000 mark, historic 10,000 mark, first time in the history of site. And then, we also touched upon about the groups right now. The interesting fact this year about the groups is we not only were able to, keep our groups active, but also we are able to start penetrating into newer regions, attracting and engaging newer members, which we'll talk about as well in the next few slides. And the other two, I think, we will do a deep dive about the projects. But in a nutshell, we listened to our members. We had a periodic conversation with our members. We routinely get their feedbacks, and we brought in changes pretty quick, and we are able to roll out some meaningful programs. I'm particularly very impressed with the kind of novel initiative that were rolled out both in 2019 and 2020. So let's talk about that. So if we go on to the next slide. So, one key area that we rolled out last year was that partnership with IEEE societies. We truly wanted the benefit of Hack and Site to be available to all the members. So what we did was we kind of closely worked with about 12 different programs within the IEEE ecosystem. Focusing on sustainable development and the technical societies. And you can see here some of the amazing collaborations here, right? I mean, last year we rolled out at least five pilot, if I correctly remember. One with Antenna and Propagation Society, APS, and I think the feedback what we received from them were more than 40 chapters were interested to commence a site group last year. So and IAS and EDS and Microwave Theory and Technique Society, MPTS. These are some of the societies where we are currently rolling out a joint pilot program, where the society members are involved in site project to put in the technical skills to address the challenges faced by the local community there. And of course, we also partnered with the EPICS in IEEE, one of the other key programs that focused on engaging IEEE members and make them to collaborate with school children and school students. So we are successfully partnering with the EPICS as well. And it is also what to call out here. The progress has been phenomenal so far, and we are looking forward really to scale up our efforts next year with the societies. But a classical example here I would like to demonstrate here is like EDS recently announced a $25,000 partnership, where the fund is going to be exclusively invested on joint programs between EDS and site. I'm very, very thrilled about this kind of partnership, and really grateful to all the volunteer leaders who are involved behind the shows, driving this kind of partnership. Today we are completely supported by Hack, but in order to strengthen our financial position for the long term, we have institutionalized a site fund with the IEEE Foundation. So if you are a member that you're interested to support our site programs, even if it's a $5 amount, it makes a big difference. You can today do your contribution, which by the way could be possibly is tax deductible in US as well. So next slide. So let's talk about some of the other key novel initiatives which were launched in the last 2 years. Ask the Chair is, is a new program, new flavor of program that was launched last year. We had a very successful, set of, series, particularly in the Ask the Chair. But the idea is to actually have a 1 or 2 hour call where any volunteer across the globe can directly talk to the site chair and can share their concerns or can get feedback or mentoring on that project and so forth. And this has been amazingly a great program for us for the last 2 years to hear the voice of the customer, voice of the volunteers directly, and then quickly remediate their concerns and roll out meaningful programs for them. And also Site Day. This is again, the idea was conceived in 2019, and we successfully rolled out the first ever Site Day in 2020, earlier this year. In spite of the COVID pandemic, it attracted about close to about, I would say, 3,000 members throughout the globe were engaged in some form of activity related to celebrating site. This includes, story videos, trivia challenge, panels, webinars, network. We have reports and blogs centered around Site Day in our website. Take a look at that. And also one more key program is that we introduced the site recognition program, announcing 2 global awards, one for the volunteer, one for the the site affinity groups of the year. This was pretty impressive. Last year we launched it, and this year we are still actively reviewing the decisions. So I think, you will hear about the decision shortly in December sometime. So with that said, the next slide. We also formulated a special focus on Africa, and we had a Africa Summit last year, bringing together amazing set of volunteers in Africa to see how Site and Hack can assist the grassroots leaders in Africa. Now, December, we again are working towards to have a second series of Africa Summit. I mean, in our recent COVID call, definitely we have seen the benefit of this summit. We have seen an amazing active participation from site groups in Africa when it comes to the COVID related warfare. And lastly, we wanted to we also launched this site week, as I said, to celebrate at the year end the spirit of volunteerism and recognize the amazing work what the volunteers have done throughout the year. So this entire week we are going to have amazing set of panels, webinars, workshops. So definitely engage, even check your local site groups. There are high probability that they also will be organizing some virtual events. So if you I request you all to continue participating in these amazing programs planned by the steering committee. Next slide. Few more important programs, which were novel programs which were launched this year, is site membership certificates. This is again to professionally, you can recognize and cherish your association with site today. You can download your site membership certificate from IEEE.org. So this is a way we wanted to recognize our volunteers and thank them for their amazing work what they are doing for the site. Next slide. Again, some of the first ever milestones for the program, right? I mean, one milestone I would call out here is we created site groups in different countries where we never had presence, right? Venezuela, Zambia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Ireland, Turkey, Switzerland, and Region 1. I mean, this is the kind of, this clearly demonstrates how site as a program is very attractive to our IEEE member. And not only that, site and HAC also funded projects from regions where we never have funded before, right? This includes Jordan, Malaysia, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, and so forth. And one thing I would like to also call out here is our education committee, both in 2019 and 2020, did an amazing job in terms of creating content, in a localized language. So we had the webinars in Spanish, specifically to some of the benefit of our members in the South America region, or the Spanish-speaking countries, to benefit them. And then primarily, I would also like to call out both HAC and the Site Education Committee did an amazing job coming together to create educational materials to benefit our members so that you can be better equipped and trained to drive from design through delivery of some of the site programs. And most important thing is if you're a site officer, vTools support is now available for site. So kudos to our staff team and the amazing set of volunteers who are involved to make this dream a reality. So next slide. One more big call out here I want to talk here is, again, this is again a moving data, I would say, as we continue to do it, but you can clearly see here the kind of growth what we have got right in the last 2 years. We definitely, set up, a larger audacious goal in 2019, and we not only committed to that goal, we delivered on our goal. So I'm super proud of the site volunteers, the site steering committee members, each one of them, and all the members of this, the subcommittees, and most importantly, the staff team, Juliana, Holly, Betsy, Mark. I mean, really, this is an amazing story. This is a story of celebration of all of us, right? And you can see here, the number continues to grow. So with that said, I really wanted to focus on one important key program, how we transformed the COVID challenge into an opportunity. But before that, it's not only this success is reflected within IEEE, right, by the kind of partnership what we are having with Site and Hack, right? Clearly, the other global players are taking recognition of, Site and Hack today. You can see here, Site and Hack program, specifically for the COVID one, was recognized by ITU, which is one of the UN agency. And we were, this program was specifically highlighted in the global report, which talked about the global programs rolled out specific to COVID. This is a big win for us. Secondly, IEEE and Site was recognized as one of the 100 associations that will save the world by, the online, portal now association, right? So clearly, I think, global agencies are now taking, step. Recognizing us. In addition to that, we are also actively, as I said, are working with industrial partners and other international agencies like UN. So I'm pretty sure you will hear more about those novel programs coming out probably in Q1 or Q2 of next year. But again, this is great. I mean, Site and Hack being the front runner when it comes to the sustainable development programs within the IEEE ecosystem. So really, this is possible by the spirit of volunteers. Next one. So, site groups and members will quickly skim through the next few slides so that you can see the holistic growth here. So you can see here how constantly, the membership is increasing. You can see here 2020 how we are actively growing. One call out I also wanted to make sure that here is we are actively partnering in regions where we have a sparse or limited presence. For example, between region 1 and region 6, we are partnering with HKN, EPICS, and other ways to strengthen our presence here. So some of the efforts what we have put forth this year, I'm fairly confident that next year we'll see the impact. But overall, our members are present in all the 10 regions right now. I mean, this is definitely an amazing growth and trajectory where we stand right now. Next slide. You can see here how dispersed we are, and next year I'm looking forward to have more pins here across across the world. So definitely the 172 site groups, it's keep on growing, and this is again has been a phenomenal growth for us from the group standpoint. And you can see our groups are very diverse. You can see here, right, from Ecuador to Uganda to Ireland to India to Bangladesh and to US, we are having a holistic and inclusive development across the board. So this is very encouraging as a program. Next slide. Now, again, here you can see within every group, I mean, there are two challenges. One is you are attracting newer groups, but also to keep your existing group active. So we are rolling out a balanced approach and a strategy to make sure that we support our groups through novel programs, at the same time attract newer groups to serve the additional needs of the local communities. Next slide. So again, the biggest benefit of being a part of a site group is the projects, right? Feet on the ground initiative, right? It's the fun journey of putting your skill into action, right? So let's talk about our progress there, and let's talk about the COVID related response there. So 2019, you can see we received about 74 proposals. Again, we funded up to 21 proposals, which is again very high when compared to 2018. We were extremely happy about that. But then 2020, if you go on to the next slide, it gave a different challenge. The challenge is that, site projects, as you all know, is feet on the ground. So with COVID situation, we really cannot put our volunteers on the ground, right? So what we really did here was we quickly, partnered with Hack, and we rolled out a joint program. If you go on here, so the idea here is we had the two call fairs in the special COVID related program, and the idea here is we still wanted to provide an opportunity for our members to engage in solving the critical problems which are emerged because of the COVID situation. And we this project funded up to $5,000. The call fair funded up to $5,000 to solve any critical development challenges which are relevant to the COVID situation. And we'll look at the story. I mean, we'll look at the success, how successful this program was. So next slide. So you can see here, in total, we received close to 229 proposals from 35 countries in 7 regions. You can see here, this is path-breaking, right? I mean, last year itself, we had an amazing growth of 74 projects. We received it, and this year, it even tripled, right? So this is again kudos to all the teams across the world for actively participating in this program. Next slide. The next few slides, let's talk about region-wise distribution. You can see here region 1 to region 10, how the distribution is. Region, I would say Africa, I would say like a region 8, region 9, and region 10 are very, very active. Many proposals, as you can see here, came from those regions because of the size of the region and the number of affinity groups present there. This is great. We also saw some encouraging, proposals between region 1 to region 7. So again, this is amazing. The first call we received 112, and the second call we received 117. So congratulations to all the 100+ team who are funded. And again, best wishes for all the other remaining teams. And we really hope that next year you will be able to apply who are not funded and you are able to be successful in your attempt next year. Next one. Again, you can see here under more than 100+ proposals have funded. This is again, it's a never heard baseline or a benchmark, in the hack and cite program history. So this is amazing. Next slide. So again, you can see the distribution of the approved projects here. It's very diversified. You can see here ranging from Colombia, USA, Indonesia, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Venezuela, Rwanda. I mean, it's such a huge spectrum, right? So this talks about how the program is bringing a driving grassroots innovation, social innovation, at a section level and a region level, right? So next slide. Now, we also did some best practices. One is we institutionalized a committee of practice where we rolled out. We really wanted to provide a systematic way to monitor these programs and then make sure that we can proactively address some of the risks that are emerging from this program during execution. So we institutionalized about 6 different, committee of practice this year, led by senior IEEE volunteers. Food security, ICT, infection control device, medical device, power, water, PPE, or the 6 committee of practice what we have institutionalized, and this provides a very systematic way for us to monitor and assist our teams on the ground. Next slide. Okay, some examples here. I'm not going to get into a lot of details given the time, but I would say here this is one of the most successful project in South Africa, where the IEEE volunteers created a dashboard to capture the demand and supply needed for the local regions. And this website brought together the local government agencies, the non-profit agencies, the local communities together. And it had about 10,000 hits per day in terms of understanding the demand. This helped the local agencies to better plan their resources for the local community. Next slide. Again, another classical example within US, where the pandemic impacted a local marginalized population. And here the IEEE volunteers have created a hydroponic farm, and through which they are able to put some local spices and farms to provide the food produce needed for them. So I'm looking forward to see the impact of this project on the marginalized population. This is done near Chicago in US, and this is again a classical example how the emerging needs are addressed through COVID related side projects and hack projects. Next slide. Okay, great. We have learned, you have seen the kind of success what we have delivered. Now, looking ahead for 2021 and beyond, what you can do is register yourself as a site member today, right? Take a look at all these amazing projects that have been funded. See how you could, leverage some of these projects to work or continue these projects for your local neighborhood, right? Or your local community, right? Participate in site as a program. You get to have a free, it comes with free, right? The educational training, the professional skill development training, right? And the most important thing is, I think, site as a program is a journey driven completely by the volunteers, right? And I'm really thankful from that context to each one of you. This has been a transformational opportunity for me. Leading the global strategy and vision for site. So with that said, I really request you all to continue your engagement in site and hack activity. And if you have further questions, write to us, and I'm happy to take a couple of questions, in this call. So with that said, I'm going to close out by thanking, the site steering committee members, the volunteers, the most importantly, the staff team, and each one of you who made this dream a reality, for enabling us to deliver this, bar-raising growth for site and hack since their inception. So thanks to you all again, and thanks to IEEE Board of Directors and hack leadership for the amazing support in 2019 and 2020 for us. With that, I'll stop here.
Thank you, Sampath, for that that amazing presentation and just giving us an idea of everything that has happened with SITE over the past 2 years. We're definitely looking forward to your leadership as the HAC chair in 2021. And now let's see, I will go ahead and look at our chat and our question and answer section to see about questions that we've received.
Sure.
Okay, so we have a couple that were submitted from Parkash Lohana.
Okay.
Perhaps we could start with the one that was most recently submitted since you just were speaking about this. If you could share a little bit more about the responsibilities of the communities of practice that you mentioned in connection with the HAC and SITE COVID projects.
Yeah, so if you could pull up that presentation, Juliana, maybe that slide. So in a nutshell, right, why do we need community of practice, right? Twofold, right? One is to provide a focus area, a particular focus area where you can actually cultivate the environment for different project teams working on a similar area to collaborate with each other. At the same time, provide the necessary tools and resources to monitor them and make sure they are actually progressing in the right way. For example, we have seen in the past, not relevant to the COVID right now, but we have seen in the past where during the course of the project execution, some team either loses their member or the community loses their interest in the project, right? How do we kind of de-risk this project? How do you get early visibility, right? So the community of practice today is spearheaded by senior members and, as I said, the leads within IEEE. This actually enables the funded projects to actually, like, check on their progress, measure certain metrics to make sure or they are still on the track to, achieve their goal, what they have committed, initially, right? And if there are indeed some blockers, basically to explore how we can mitigate those blockers by coming out with mitigation plans and so forth. As you can see here, primarily, it also provides, a specific focus area to streamline and to share best practices, right? If you are working on a healthcare project, I am also working in a healthcare project, but you are working in, say, in Africa, I am working in US. It provides an opportunity for collective learning, right? Where there are different dimensions. For example, data privacy, there are different models of delivery, right? So I think in a nutshell, every process, every focus area, which the community of practice where we're investing in, it's going to, in a nutshell, will help us to bring volunteers together and provide the flexibility for them to engage in a project that is of interest to them. And also provide them the opportunity to expand their horizon. If you're an electrical engineer or a computer engineer, you may be interested to work on a clean and food security related project. You can actually sign up for it, and then you can understand the ongoing projects and the best practices on it. So in a nutshell, the goal is to provide a very systematic way to attract, engage, and to retain and support our IEEE volunteers, site volunteers at the grassroots level. Okay.
Yes, great. Okay. This is a good question. Is there any special training for volunteers if children are involved in the funded site projects?
I think so. Juliana, you can comment on it, but I think in general, IEEE by itself, if your project involves any child-related topic, I think you have to sign a specific, agreement or MOU kind of thing, which brief you a responsibility. And also our committee, the project committee, I think they carefully vet it, and our staff team do an amazing job to make sure that you understand the specifics. Something to think about from the project doer standpoint, especially when you are dealing with children, right? There are several, compliances that has to be in place. For example, in US, you have CAPA. I'm sure that you have GDPR in region 8 and other places, right? So you have to start thinking through it, right? For example, if you are designing a software solution, how do you enforce or meet this kind of compliances? How do you enforce that the data are secured? You may be putting some kind of encryptions in place and so forth, right? So in a nutshell, yes, IEEE does require you to carefully pay attention, and they have some regulations and guidance which are always vetted by our staff team, the projects team, and the Office of Risk before we approve any projects.
Yes, that's correct. And in just a couple minutes, I can put in the link to that homepage for IEEE projects. This is IEEE wide for projects or activities that involve children. And I'll put in the link to that landing page just for additional information. And please feel free to write to site@ieee.org with any other questions that you may have.
Awesome.
Okay. So I just see as a follow-up question to that, if children are accompanying with their parents and not directly involved with the project, that so we know that a lot of our project teams are involved with family entities, and that would not necessarily be the type of project that would need to be registered. It's more the projects where volunteers and children are working together, or volunteers are working with children without any parents or teachers or guardians present. So now to switch up the topic a little bit, Sampath.
Sure.
Let's see, we did receive one question a little bit back about the differences between IEEE Site and IEEE Smart Village.
Yeah, I can quickly touch upon that.
Trying to navigate back to that. So are IEEE Site and IEEE Smart Village different entities? Can we, at our section, use a site group for IEEE Smart Village?
Great question, Prakash. I think fundamentally, the first question, the answer is yes. IEEE Site and Smart Village are totally two different entities. In fact, I would say two different programs, but they will have some kind of overlap in terms of their larger vision, right? Let's talk about it for a second, right? So site, as I said, it's more backward driven from the community. You identify the local community, you understand the need of the local community, you work backwards, right? Smart Village, on the other sense, their focus area is primarily limited to the power and energy. They are the leaders there, right? How do you provide electrification to a marginal population? How do you come out with better renewable solutions, right? Energy solutions, right? Whereas site, I would say you have the flexibility. The breadth and width is pretty high. I mean, I can talk through it. You have projects in ICT, food security, healthcare, all the 17 SDGs, you name it, we will have some kind of projects we have done in the past, right? So in that regard, it's two different. And Smart Village is primarily focused on entrepreneurship, if I correctly remember. Whereas site is primarily focused on engaging our volunteers at the grassroots level, providing them the the capability. And as I said, site is actually we have a structure, we have an entity, a grassroots entity, right, at your section level or so student chapter level. Smart Village, I think it goes by the project, yeah, if I correctly remember. But with that said, there are some interesting collaboration that's coming up in 2021. We are talking to the Smart Village leadership, because as I said, one of the focus area, what we call it, is power and energy. And we'll be talking to PES and Smart Village and other leaders there to see how best we could position our partnership there. And with respect to your question, I mean, of course, you can ask, let me open the question here. Can we, at a section, use site group for IEEE Village? Of course, if you have site volunteers who are involved, interested to do the projects, yes, you can reach out to the local site groups and check with their interest. It again depends on the site is purely on the interest of the volunteers and the members, right? So it's again very subjective. If the volunteers have the right skills and they want to participate, yes, why not? Okay.
Great, thank you, Sampath. And that looks like all the questions that we have for today.
Okay, before I close out, again, I would like to call out, thank, every site volunteers throughout the globe. I mean, this kind of bar raising growth, even when I set an audacious goal in 2019, we had a vision. We know it's going to be, we have to put in a lot of effort, but this 2 years, I would definitely want to, give a hats off to every volunteer who have contributed to the success. And most importantly, to the staff team, like even weekends, I don't remember how many calls I have made to Juliana, Holly, Betsy, and others. So I think, a big kudos to the staff team, and, really thankful for the HAC leadership and the team for trusting and giving me the opportunity to spearhead the global strategy and the vision for site. I'm really happy and satisfied with the kind of transformational impact what I have delivered as the global chair for this program this year. So with that said, please continue participating in this program, We have a lot more interesting updates and programs to be launched by HSE and site early next year. So if you are not registered, register yourself as a site member, and and if you have additional questions, write to us. We definitely are here to serve you. So with that said, thanks to you all again for joining in this initial kickoff event for the site week. Again, thanks to President 2021 President Kathy Land for joining us today. With that said, we will close the session then. Thank you.